Right now, pumping through your veins is a microscopic chemical signature that was decided millions of years ago. It's written on your birth certificate as a single letter and a symbol. Type A, Type B, Type AB, or Type O. Positive or negative. Most of us only think about our blood type when we're filling out a medical form, giving blood, or listening to someone explain a weird fad diet. We treat it like a random cosmic coin toss, a harmless biological coin flip. But what if I told you that your blood type is not random at all? What if your specific blood type is actually a physical receipt from an ancient biological war? A war fought over millions of years between our human ancestors and the most ruthless killers in Earth's history. The blood flowing inside you right now isn't just delivering oxygen. It is an evolutionary shield forged in the fires of ancient plagues, deadly parasites, and catastrophic mutations. If your ancestors hadn't developed the exact blood type you carry today, you wouldn't be sitting here watching this video. So, why do we have different blood types? Where did they actually come from? And why did natural selection refuse to let any single one of them win? Grab a seat, because the story of your blood is wilder than any fiction. To understand where your blood came from, we first have to bust one of the biggest medical myths circulating the internet today. The idea that blood types evolved based on what early humans ate. You've probably heard it before. The claim that Type O is the ancient hunter-gatherer blood type born from eating meat. That Type A evolved when humans started farming grains, and Type B emerged with nomadic dairy herders. It sounds neat, it sounds clean, and biologically, it is completely wrong. To find the true origin of human blood, we have to travel back far beyond the invention of farming, far beyond the ice ages, far beyond even the existence of Homo sapiens. We have to rewind the clock millions of years, back to our shared primate ancestors swinging through prehistoric canopies. When geneticists mapped the human genome and analyzed the ABO gene, the specific stretch of DNA that determines your blood group, they made a mind-blowing discovery. The original, ancestral blood type of humans wasn't Type O, it was Type A. Millions of years ago, before early hominins walked upright on two legs, our distant primate ancestors already possessed Type A blood. In fact, if you test a chimpanzee or a bonobo today, you'll find that they carry blood group structures almost identical to ours. Type A was the original biological template, the default setting for the red blood cells of our evolutionary line. So, how does Type A blood actually work? On a microscopic level, your red blood cells are covered in tiny, tree-like molecular structures called antigens. Think of antigens as tiny biochemical flags sticking out of the surface of every cell. On a Type A red blood cell, these flags are made of a specific complex sugar molecule called the A antigens. For millions of years, this single flag system worked just fine. But as early humans began to evolve, walk the earth, and multiply, a silent, invisible terror was evolving right alongside them. A terror that would force our DNA to mutate or die. Enter the real architects of human blood evolution: pathogens. Viruses, bacteria, and parasites don't care about our diets, but they care immensely about our cell surfaces. To a microscopic invader, those tiny sugar flags on your red blood cells aren't decorative. They are doorways. Pathogens evolved to recognize the specific biochemical shape of the A antigen. They learned how to lock onto those sugar flags, hijack the cell, and turn the human body into a breeding ground for disease. And then, roughly 2 to 3 million years ago, a biological catastrophe struck a small population of early hominins. A single random genetic glitch occurred during DNA replication. In one unfortunate individual, a tiny mutation broke the gene responsible for building those sugar flags. The biochemical machinery that attached the A antigens to red blood cells completely shut down. Instead of producing red blood cells decorated with intricate sugar flags, this mutated gene produced red blood cells that were completely bare, stripped clean, naked. In normal circumstances, a broken gene is bad news. But in a world crawling with deadly parasites, this broken gene turned out to be the ultimate biological superpower. This mutation was the birth of type O. Type O doesn't mean original. It actually comes from the German word ohne, which means without. Type O blood is literally blood without A or B antigens. Now, imagine you are a microscopic killer like Plasmodium falciparum, the terrifying parasite responsible for severe malaria. Malaria invades red blood cells, forcing them to stick together in deadly clumps called rosettes, clogging small blood vessels and causing fatal organ failure. To create these fatal clumps, the malaria parasite relies heavily on sticking to the sugar antigens on the surface of the cell. But when malaria encountered an early human with type O blood, its sticky hooks couldn't grab hold. The red blood cells were too slick. The parasites couldn't clump. While individuals with ancestral type A blood were dying by the millions in malaria-infested tropical forests, individuals carrying the new type O mutation were surviving. They lived long enough to have children, passing down that broken gene from generation to generation. Type O wasn't a lifestyle choice. It was a shield against malaria. That is why, to this day, type O is the most common blood type on Earth, dominating regions in sub-Saharan Africa and indigenous populations across the Americas, where malaria historically wreaked havoc. So, if type O was such an incredible survival mechanism against deadly parasites, why didn't type A die out completely? And where on Earth did type B come from? The answer lies in a brilliant evolutionary strategy known as balancing selection. You see, nature plays a perpetual game of cat and mouse. The moment human DNA mutated to create type O blood to block malaria, other infectious threats shifted their strategies. Pathogens are incredibly adaptive. While type O blood offered incredible protection against malaria, it created new vulnerabilities to entirely different diseases. For instance, cholera and certain strains of E. coli bacteria produce toxins that bind far more aggressively to the bare surface of type O cells, making type O individuals historically much more susceptible to severe, dehydrating diarrheal diseases. To balance the scales, nature produced another wildcard mutation, type B. A few 100,000 years ago, another series of subtle mutations altered the ABO gene in ancient humans. Instead of shutting the gene off like type O, or building the standard A antigen, this mutation shifted the enzyme's activity just enough to attach a completely different sugar molecule, a galactose sugar, to the cell wall. This created the B antigen. Suddenly, human populations had a third biochemical blueprint. Type B individuals had red blood cells that confused old pathogens while providing new, robust defenses against specific bacterial plagues sweeping through dense human settlements. As human tribes migrated out of Africa into Asia and Europe, these blood types clashed with different environments and different epidemics. In areas where smallpox tore through populations, individuals with type A blood suffered higher mortality rates because the smallpox virus shared molecular similarities with the A antigen, tricking the body's immune system into letting down its guard. Those with type B or type O were far more likely to survive. And what happens when someone with type A blood has children with someone with type B blood? Both genes express themselves equally, giving rise to type AB, a rare, hyperdiverse blood type carrying both sugar flags simultaneously. This brings us to the ultimate question. Why didn't one single super blood type eventually win the evolutionary race and wipe out the rest? Why do we still have A, B, AB, and O living side by side in every modern city on Earth today? The answer is simple. Diversity is our species' ultimate armor. If every single human being on Earth had the exact same blood type, the human race would be a ticking time bomb. All it would take is one supervirus or one hyper-evolved bacterium specifically engineered to target that single blood antigen, and our entire species could be wiped out in a matter of months. By maintaining a diverse mosaic of blood types within a single population, humanity built an indestructible biological insurance policy. When a horrific plague swept through an ancient village, it might devastate 30% of the population who carried a vulnerable blood type, but the remaining 70%, protected by their alternative blood mutations, would survive, rebuild, and carry the human story forward. Your blood type isn't just an arbitrary letter printed on your medical file. It is a living artifact. It is proof that your personal ancestors survived the worst epidemics, parasites, and plagues in human history. If you have type A, you carry the ancient, unbroken lineage of our earliest hominin ancestors. If you have type O, you carry the revolutionary mutation that saved millions of lives from the deadly grip of malaria. If you have type B, you carry the resilient genetic armor forged in response to ancient bacterial plagues. And if you have type AB, you carry a unique, balanced blend of two distinct evolutionary defense systems. So the next time you look down at your arm, remember, the liquid flowing beneath your skin isn't just blood. It is an ancient story of survival, written in code, passed down across millions of years just to keep you alive today.